Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. Joining me today, we've got Henry Hill and Michael McCubs. Welcome aboard, boys. We are filming, I think, 3 Continental Clubs in the next 2 days or 3 days to get them ready for Christmas. But today, we are talking about January transfers and which players could move next month, because at Magnagenta Olimpico said which player could do with a move next month. So from now till the January window, it's only 14 days, guys. And in this weird season, it could be absolutely crucial for many clubs to strengthen their roster before an intense start to 2021. And it could also be vital for some players to get a move, with the Euros coming up next summer in particular. So we want to take it from the players' perspective today on some players that could definitely do with a transfer in January. And Henry, we are kicking off with Mr. Aaron Ramsey, whose time in Turin hasn't been exactly perfect.
That's right, we are. Just quickly, normally you ask us, me and McCubs, how we are, but never mind. How are you? If you're not interested, don't worry, I'm fine. I don't want to give any spoilers, but Dougie called me the Wilfred Boney of football pyramids super subs. So me and him are actually feuding right now. He doesn't realise it, but I'm not happy.
That's why I didn't care how you were. It's simple.
That's a prelude to the episode that's got coming out yet. So get on that this Sunday. But yes, Aaron Ramsey, his move to Juventus is in danger of being a bit of a flop, isn't it, really, if we consider it. He's now 29 years old. And this season, got off okay last year, but this season it hasn't really kicked on either. And let's remember, in July 2019, Juventus signed him. They handed him a 4-year contract worth £400,000 per week, which is pretty nuts. That's 20.8 million per year. And I was just having a look. Already by this point in the season, he'll have earned £4 million, which is pretty good for him. But that's just off the pitch in his bank account. On the pitch, it hasn't gone all that well. So he was signed by Allegri, but then he just played over 1,000 minutes under Maurizio Sarri last year in 2019-20, which is a bit of a funny season for Juventus in general. And he got 3 goals and 1 assist, and he was only given 2 starts in the Champions League, which really isn't what we imagined he would have kind of game time. When you invest that kind of money in a player, you'd really expect more, and he just hasn't got the time there under Sarri, and it hasn't improved under Pirlo either. He took over, and in this campaign, 6 Liga appearances, totaling 370 minutes. That's 0 goals and just the single assist. But strangely enough, he has started in 4 of Juventus' Champions League games, but he has looked right. And this is the thing I'm a little bit confused about, because I think Ramsey's played okay in moments. If you check out a lot of the highlights, he does seem to be involved. He does seem to be contributing, but one of his big problems is, since he's joined, he suffered 8 different injuries at Juventus. And he came into Juventus off the back of, I think it was a hamstring injury, which had really ruled him out for about roughly 18 months, sort of on and off his time at Arsenal. And that injury's just sort of carried over into his Juventus form. And injuries meant that he's been dropped to the bench on multiple occasions, 5 different occasions. So he's never really been able to put a consistent run in the team. And I think he hobbled off injured against Ferencváros in a recent Champions League fixture as well, and injuries to his thigh. So that shows you he's just a bit of a broken goods, really, the Welshman. But unsurprisingly, this kind of injury stuff has affected his form. He's averaging 2.4 tackles and interceptions. That's down from 2.6 last season. And just 0.7 shots. That's down from 2.4. Because if you remember correctly, we were talking about him as being quite a decent creative under Juventus at points. Certainly last season at the start, he was, like we said, he did look as if he was contributing. Clearly, that's taken a drop off his form and his playing time as well. He's still creating 2.7 chances per 90, up from 1.7 last season. So the ability is there. And his problem is, Andrea Pirlo, he's preferring this 4-4-2 system at the moment. If remember, we talked about he keeps Morata and Ronaldo in the front 2. And then he prefers to play either like Bernardeschi or Chiesa on the wing, or Kulusevski, apologies. So in that case, that's quite an attacking 4, the 2 strikers and the 2 wingers. And Aaron Ramsey's best strengths are going forwards in attack. And therefore, I don't think he's really going to get much of a look in that 2-man midfield. If he prefers to play Artur or Bentancur recently, he's even playing Kenny on the wing sometimes, and Kenny can play in the middle as well. He's a bit more box-to-box than Ramsey in that regard. So Pirlo doesn't really have a system him in place there, and I was reading that he has tried a 3-4-1-2 to accommodate Ramsey, to put him in the slot in the hole, but he hasn't really been able to perform much in there as well. His expected assists, they might still be at 0.45, but that's behind Rabiot in the team as well. So, Rabiot's ahead of him. And Rabiot, who's looked really impressive this year, I must say, actually. I think he's really sort of coming along, playing some of his best football since joining from PSG. But he's quite clearly down in the pecking order. There's not really a system which is accommodating the best of his ability. And from what I've been reading, some gossip columns and whatnot, maybe even next summer, there's already plans to maybe move him on. His big problem is, if he's going to try and move in January, is his wages are so big at £400,000 a week. There aren't really many suitors. Where could he go? Would he go to Arsenal again? He could go back there. That might make sense. I'm not even sure if they've got that kind of money, particularly after the expenditure they've put on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And Man United, that's a possibility as well. We discussed a swap deal last week with Pogba and Dybala. I mean, it's not within, it's within the realms of possibility that I could see sort of Pogba going one way on loan and maybe Ramsey coming the other way on loan. I could see sort of Ramsey maybe slotting in at Manchester United. McCubs, I'd be interested to hear what you think there. But, he's 29 now. He's suffering a lot of injuries and he's not necessarily putting in the kind of performances or being given the opportunity to give the performances of someone who's earning that much money. And I know a lot of us were a bit sceptical when he originally was handed that contract. Sort of thought, well, great for him. Is that great for Juventus? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see. And at the moment, it's not really looking like it's paid off. And yeah, I think maybe with the Euros coming up this summer, he's obviously going to be a big part of that Welsh squad. If he is serious about making a dent in that competition, it might be good for him to potentially move on.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That competition is going to be absolutely massive for him. I mean, Wales back at the Euros after so much success at the previous tournament when they reached the semi-finals. He'll want to be, at the top of his game, and he's just not going to be when he's been limited so much by injury and just doesn't really fit that system either. As you point out, I mean, even if they do play a number 10, he's probably more likely to be behind Dybala as well, who could move in January. So maybe that will pave the way for some more minutes. But I just don't see Ramsey staying at Juventus beyond next summer. Whether he can move in January with his wages remains to be seen. And with the lack of potential suitors as well. Personally, I don't see Arsenal or Man United happening either. I mean, McCubs, before we move on to our second player, what do you think about Ramsey at Man United? Would that be something that interests you?
No. don't want him anywhere near Man United. I couldn't think of a bigger waste of time. Like, I mean, no offense to Ramsey, but Man United don't need an attacking midfielder. Bought Donny van der Beek in the summer, who isn't, he isn't a number 10, but he can certainly fill those kind of spaces on the pitch. Bruno Fernandes is, one of the best number 10s in the world right now. I don't see Ramsey going to United, to be honest, especially on those wages. Would make very little sense. Even a loan move, I just don't really see it. I think a loan move is his best hope, isn't it? But to be honest, if I was Ramsey, he's not going to not make the Wales squad, is he? I guess, you'd want to go into that tournament on having started a decent amount of games, but I don't know. I still feel like Pirlo's system has changed his system so much that I feel like there might come a point in the next few months where suddenly Ramsey is thrown into it. I feel like it's quite unpredictable what kind of Pirlo's doing at Juve.
Yeah.
In terms of his system, so I feel like I don't know. I feel like with Ramsey, maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing to just kind of, bide his time a little bit. He's on brilliant money, and I mean, I guess, and the Euros is a good opportunity, I guess, for him to maybe kind of attract some buyers if he's unhappy at the end of the season.
I agree with you.
But yeah, like you're saying, Dukes, Samuel Umtiti is our next candidate, and there's been a lot of talk about him, hasn't there, in recent weeks, about Barcelona wanting to get rid of him in January. Obviously, we've spoken about Barcelona's kind of financial troubles of late, and really reducing their wage bill is kind of top of the agenda, isn't it? It's just been a really difficult couple of years for Umtiti, hasn't it? He made 83 appearances in his first 2 campaigns at Barca. He was probably he kind of put himself in that bracket of the top 3 or 4 defenders in the world, to be honest. Especially when it came to very much the art of defending, putting yourself in the way of everything, reading the game expertly, he ticks all the boxes, doesn't he? Or at least he did tick all the boxes. It's so difficult to say now because we haven't seen him play in so long. But yeah, 35 appearances across the last 2.5 seasons. That knee injury that was beginning to dog him kind of towards the halfway stage of 2018. That was aggravated at the 2018 World Cup, and he's never really fully recovered from that. He's missed 63 games since the start of 18-19. So like, I mean, yeah, it's just a bit of a sad case, really, isn't it? You know, obviously Barcelona, I think, were kind of prepared for it a little bit. They brought in Clement Longley that summer as well, in July 2018. I don't know. I feel like they perhaps brought him in as maybe a long-term PK replacement and to partner Umtiti, to be honest, and that obviously hasn't worked out as they would have planned. They're still far too reliant on Gerard Piqué at this stage. So yeah, I think a loan move probably would be good for him. I've been reading that apparently he's nearly back to full fitness, but that doesn't, that hasn't changed Barca's position. I think it's still clear that they want rid. He's on £75,000 a week, which is, for a player who's hardly played in 2 years, far too much, isn't it? But again, I don't know if that's actually the best move for Barcelona. Like, their defence has been so poor recently. You know, Ronald Araujo and Mingueza as well, who was promoted from the B team recently. Like, I don't know. I'm not overly impressed by them. They both look a bit prone to mistakes. So at least from the kind of small sample size of games we've seen so far. So I don't know. From a footballing aspect, I feel like if Umtiti is back fully fit, as some reports are suggesting, that perhaps Barca might be better off just keeping him until the summer, because, you know, it could be a really, really long rest of season for them, especially if they don't have, you know, more than 2 centre-backs fit at one time. Having said that, there do seem to be some teams who are interested. So Juventus have been linked with a loan move. So I feel like that wouldn't necessarily be a bad move. At the same time, I feel like Juve's defence has improved a bit in the last kind of month or two. Everton have also been linked as well. Although again, not really sure that makes a lot of sense. They've got a fairly stacked defence at the moment. And again, I don't think it's in the state that it was, you know, a year or two ago. Benfica as well. Not really sure about that one, to be honest. To be honest, the only thing I can see, or the thing I feel makes the most sense, is for him to go back to Lyon. I think he has always expressed a desire to go back there, either as a player or as a coach. And I think they were linked with him kind of towards the end of the summer. I don't know. I just feel like that would make sense for him, like somewhere where he can go regain his confidence. You know, a league which isn't quite as taxing as a defender as La Liga. You know, a club where he's clearly loved. Not a huge amount of kind of statistical or tactical analysis to give you there, but I just feel I feel like that would make sense for Umtiti.
I think that's a really good shout, and also, yeah, it's a good point about Everton, to be honest. I mean, with Holgate, Yerry Mina, Michael Keane, who's playing probably the best football of his career, Ben Godfrey as well. I just don't think you need to throw in a player who's been out pretty much for 2 years into that mix. So I think that's not the best move for him. The player I wanted to talk about is a very different scenario from Ramsey and Umtiti in Jadon Sancho, who obviously doesn't need a move for his career in the same way that those two do. But it does feel like his situation has slightly changed in the last 2 weeks. Obviously, Dortmund decided to sack Lucien Favre after that 5-1 defeat to Stuttgart at the weekend. You can go and watch ERU from earlier this week, where McCubs and Henry broke it down. That, and also go check out the podcast from this week, where we covered Borussia Dortmund in quite a lot of detail there. But I won't cover that again. But you know, his replacement is his assistant Edin Terzic, who used to be Slaven Bilic's number 2 at West Ham and Besiktas. He's never really managed before. He's taking over till the end of the year, and there's a certain element of risk into the end of the Dortmund season. Really, they're only 3 points off top and 4 points clear of 8th place Gladbach at the time of writing. So it's a really tight league this year, and you just don't know how that's going to go until the end of the year. Like, not every assistant manager that steps into the helm is going to do a Hansi Flick. Like, Terzic might be good, he might not be. And I feel like in sacking Lucien Favre, you've kind of risked what could go on to the end of the year. Now, I don't think Jadon Sancho is going to leave in January, but if Dortmund don't finish in the top 4, which at the moment it's very tight, they might not, and there's some good teams around, then I think that just opens up the possibility of him definitely leaving next summer, whether United finish on the top 4 or not. Because I know that plenty of other clubs will come in from there as well. And in fairness to Sancho, like, he is obviously a fantastic player, but to be honest, like, his season hasn't gone as well as he'd planned. He's got 0 goals and 3 assists in 10 Bundesliga games, although he did contribute 4 goals in 5 Champions League games. So he needs his personal form to pick up in order to sort of guarantee that move next year. And he also needs the Dortmund scenario or situation to sort of go quite smoothly. And Dortmund certainly will as well, because if they're not in the Champions League, it weakens their bargaining position as well. And he'll probably go for a lot less money. And Haaland is also out till next month. So Sancho really needs to step up in the next few games. The other player I wanted to mention from the Bundesliga is Joshua Zirkzee, who's very different to Sancho in that he just hasn't had any game time really this year, with Eric Choupo-Moting coming in as Lewandowski's number 2 and actually playing pretty well when he's been called upon as well. Choupo-Moting, that is. But Zirkzee's a really exciting young Dutch forward. He contributed some crucial goals last year. I think he made 14 appearances and scored 4 goals. I think he got winners against Freiburg and Werder Bremen, a goal against Gladbach as well. So really popped up and was pretty useful as well. But now, since that arrival of Choupo-Moting, he's only played 96 minutes in the league and Champions League. And apparently FC Cologne are interested in taking him on loan, which would be an absolutely fantastic move for him. They're 15th in the table. They're 3 points above the relegation zone. So there would be a certain amount of pressure on his shoulders. You know, coming from a big club like Bayern, walking into that dressing room, you've got to start to deliver and save that club from relegation. But it's a great chance for him to perform. So I think that would be a fantastic move for him. And then I've just put down one wild card here, is Radi Krunic, ex-Empoli attacking midfielder who's been at Milan since June 2019. Only made 35 appearances for the club, contributed 1 goal, but he does have a bit about him. I remember looking at him when he was at Empoli. I didn't obviously watch Empoli every week, but his stats were really impressive. 12 league goal contributions in 33 games in 18-19, which earned him that move. 3.4 shot creating actions per 90. He's not getting a look in at Milan with Calhanoglu, Castillejo, etc. playing so well in his stead, particularly Calhanoglu, Lesu Castillejo. So Radi Krunic could be available for a good sort of deal there as well. So that sort of concludes our players that need to move in January. Henry, I heard before it kind of got lost in Zoom that you wanted to make one final point about Aaron Ramsey. Is that the case?
Oh, no, it's all right. I mean, I was just going to say, I was agreeing with what McCubs was basically saying. Like, you never know, he could get a moment, because he did start the first 3 games or played 90 minutes, got an assist, and then he sort of like just disappeared off the radar again, so he could do that. But yeah, Joshua Zirkzee, I remember writing about him as one of the players to watch when because the Bundesliga came back early after the enforced break. But you've got to feel sorry for him. I mean, I don't mind them signing Choupo-Moting, but at the same time, that's directly hindered his development. And I think he did more than enough last year to justify his slot as kind of Lewandowski's replacement. So I do feel sorry for him, but I agree with you. A move to FC Cologne could be a really good chance for him to form, because I think they had their best striker pinched by I think Hertha Berlin pinched their best striker last year or something like that. So yeah, this is it's quite exciting.
Absolutely. Hopefully Zirkzee gets that move. Guys, let us know whether you think Ramsey, Umtiti, Sancho, less likely, or Joshua Zirkzee will move in January. And who else should move in January? Get it in the comments down below. And let's move on to our big match preview. There are massive games throughout Europe this weekend, actually, with Barcelona hosting Valencia on Saturday, Atalanta versus Roma, and Lazio versus Napoli in Serie A. But due to recent results, the biggest game of the weekend is without doubt taking place in the Bundesliga as Bayer Leverkusen host Bayern Munich in a top-of-the-table clash. McCubs, let's kick off with Bayer Leverkusen. What a run they've been on.
Yeah, they've been on a great run, haven't they? And somewhat surprisingly, I guess. I mean, they were very, very good last season. One of the best teams in Germany. Finished 5th, just 2 points behind Gladbach in the end in what was a really tight race for the top 4. Obviously, Gladbach were challenging for the title at one point last season, dropped off, and Leverkusen had an excellent kind of run after the restart, didn't they? 63 points they ended up with. That was their best tally since 2012-13 when they finished third. So they're really a team on the up. However, obviously Kevin Volland left in the summer, Kai Havertz, more importantly, left in the summer. So I think there was probably a bit of kind of questions over whether they'd be able to replicate the kind of form that they showed last season. But Peter Bosz has done an amazing job, hasn't he? I mean, since coming in December 2018, they've just gone from strength to strength. He led them from 9th to 4th in that campaign. I think credit to him that he's managed to kind of mould this team again and get them playing some really good stuff. And there are some players who I think have really kind of come to the fore, haven't they? We'll get onto them in a little bit, but just to go through their kind of form, they drew their opening 3 league games, so they sat 14th, I guess, kind of around the end of September, start of October. But since then, 7 wins in their last 8 games. They're now 1 point clear at the top of the Bundesliga, and that run's included some really big results as well. They won 4-3 over Gladbach. They won 4-1 over Hoffenheim last weekend. Myself and Henry spoke about that on ERU, so go and check that out after this if you want to hear more about that. And then, got that 4-0 away win against FC Köln on Wednesday night. So they're one of just 3 unbeaten sides in Europe now, alongside AC Milan and Juventus, and they fare pretty well against other teams in Germany as well. Only Bayern have scored more than their 27 goals at the time of writing. Only RB Leipzig have conceded fewer than their 10. They rank 6th for shots, though, and 3rd for shots against. So they're, on balance, perhaps not the best team in Germany right now. However, it's clear that they've just been kind of shit hot on the finishing end of things. They're outperforming their expected goals at the moment. And I guess that's credit to, players like Florian Wirtz, players like Lucas Alario, players like Leon Bailey, who have all had excellent starts to the season. So to go into their numbers a little bit, Florian Wirtz to begin with, 17-year-old who's, kind of making up for the loss of Havertz to an extent. 1 goal, 4 assists in 10 games, completing over 2 dribbles, completing nearly 3 key passes, as it were. And also has 3 goal contributions in the Europa League. So he already looks like a star. Scored a fantastic goal against Hoffenheim as well on the weekend. Absolutely loved that. Just one of those, players who, at such a young age, just plays with so much confidence, just has no fear whatsoever. It's just, expressing himself in, just such a great way. Like we were saying, Lucas Alario has also been brilliant. Obviously, he was mainly a bench option last year, and there were definitely big question marks over whether he'd be able to replace the output of Volland after he left in the summer. But 10 goals in the league in Europe in 12 games. He's been great. And Leon Bailey, of course, who I think in the last couple of years it had dropped off a little bit. I feel like kind of in the 2017-18, he was one of the hottest properties in Europe, and for whatever reason, I think he kind of underperformed his XG a little bit in 18-19, and then last year, again, wasn't one of Leverkusen's top contributors. His name kind of faded a little bit, but this season has just been, arguably in the form of his career. 9 goals and 2 assists in his last 9 games in all competitions. Peter Bosz has got this side playing as well as ever, really. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they fare against Bayern.
Absolutely massive game for them, absolutely huge. And you make a great point about Leon Bailey, because it was 17-18 that he was absolutely phenomenal, and then a bit of a drop off, but he's always had this ability to really step up in the big games. I know that he's got actually a phenomenal record against Bayern. I didn't do the research on exactly what that was, but I think he got both goals in a game last year, or I think they beat them last year, or either the year before that, and he got both goals, one of which was a magnificent free kick, I seem to remember. So Leon Bailey will definitely be one to watch this weekend. But Henry, let's move on to Bayern Munich, because they're in the hunt once again, but from a statistical point of view, they're maybe been a little bit lucky. Is that fair to say?
No, it's true. We profiled the big match preview, Leipzig versus Bayern, a couple of weeks ago, and again we said, Bayern do look vulnerable. They're not this rock solid team that make out to be. They might be the top scorers in the Bundesliga, but they're certainly not the tightest, nowhere near the tightest defence. They're conceding a fair few amount of goals, and it's been a little bit shaky. They've only won 2 of their last 5 games. That includes 3 draws against Werder Bremen, Leipzig, and Union Berlin, who I just like a quick shout out. One of the big surprise packages of the Bundesliga this season. Have really built on their first season last year. They're absolutely flying. Quite surprising. Big kudos to them. But this is actually something we should come to expect of a Bayern Munich team. They do start a bit slowly. I think this time last year they were maybe second behind Mönchengladbach, and and before the Wolfsburg game, which took place, they had 4 fewer points and scored 6 fewer goals than this time last season. So yeah, they did actually beat Wolfsburg on Wednesday night 2-1. I'll get onto that a little bit later. That ends Wolfsburg's unbeaten start to the Bundesliga. We'll get onto that later, because it wasn't a clear-cut victory once again. That said, they are Die Roten. They are the big German machine that can't be stopped. They've only lost 1 of their last 32 league games. That weird 4-1 defeat against Hoffenheim, which gets stranger and stranger as the season goes on. And they have won 15 of their 20 matches this season. That's just 4 draws and 1 defeat. So they're second, obviously, behind Leverkusen on 1 point. And that's what makes this such an exciting, interesting top of the table clash, a bit like Liverpool-Tottenham in the Premier League on Wednesday. I'm really excited to see sort of how Bayer Leverkusen can take it to them. They scored 12 goals in the last 3 games. So, they obviously know what they're doing. And against a team like Bayern Munich, I think there's goals in it for them. Bayern they rank 4th for shots, 5th for shots against, and they're the 7th best side according to expected points, which gives you an idea of maybe where they're getting a bit lucky here and there. However, they are scoring at a ridiculous rate. They've scored 11 more than XG predicts, and are now they've become a bit more of a lethal counter-attacking side. No team has scored more than their 4 on the break. Who's surprised really when they've got Gnabry, Coman and Leroy Sané in their ranks? They've got one of the most frightening kind of counter-attacking units I can possibly ever remember. Lewandowski, great, of course. Thomas Müller never gets any older, just continuing to be an unbelievable creator. And Gnabry, but yeah, as we just mentioned, Kingsley Coman, I think he deserves a real shout out. I was someone that thought that maybe his place would be sacrificed with Leroy Sané coming in, but actually, if anything, it's done exactly what I imagine Hansi Flick and Karl-Heinz Rummenigge would have hoped, which is that he's just raised his game. Only last season he contributed 7 goals and 4 assists in 33 league and UCL games. Obviously scored in the Champions League final. But this season he's on 5 goals and 9 assists in 13 games. That's unbelievable, and that includes the Champions League as well. So he's really raised his level. His shots have gone from 1.5 to 2.3. Key passes are up to almost 2, and his combined expected goals and assists per 90 up to 0.68. So that's almost sort of 2 in every 3 games, so which is brilliant. So he only Sane can top his expected assists per 90, but even then, Coman's all-round game has made him undroppable. He's obviously Hansi Flick has shown faith in him, and he's responding. Also worth mentioning is Manny Neuer. He is back to his imperial best. Obviously, he still throwing in the odd sort of wild decision and crazy bit of goal line action here and there. But yeah, he's so good. And against Wolfsburg, who had a lot of chances to at least pinch a point in this game, but Neuer pulled off 5 saves. He had an 81% pass completion rate. And if you have a look at the highlights, in the 84th minute, he makes a really vital save, sort of 1-on-1, which really could have turned the game in Wolfsburg's favour. And I've got it written here that he's got the likelihood of him saving a shot. His expected sort of save rate is the highest in the division. So, no contest there about who the number 1 German goalkeeper is. And I think he's well and truly back in the race of being considered the best keeper in the world. And, he's the closest keeper ever to winning sort of the Ballon d'Or that I can remember. And yeah, he's back to his imperial best. But yeah, I mean, after this weekend's game, the Bundesliga takes a 12-day break. So this is a really, really big game to assert dominance ahead of this mild winter break that they've got coming up. So yeah, I'm really excited to see, but I do think there's goals in it for Bayer Leverkusen if, and this is the big if, they don't have many championship winning kind of players in that side. They don't have the experience of doing it, and that's often where Bayern have kind of won out, because they do have that machine aspect to their game. I just hope that they can keep their composure and keep playing that attacking spirit that's seen them produce so many good results over the past few weeks.
Yeah, you make a great point, to be honest, and they are short of players that are available as well. I mean, Paulinho's out with a cruciate injury. Arias, who's on loan from Atletico Madrid, I believe, has got a broken leg. Aranguiz, Palacios and Bender are also out long term as well. So Bayer Leverkusen, they're doing a phenomenal job right now with the sort of resources they've got available. For Bayern as well, there's a few injuries as well. Kimmich, I think, is out until next month still. Nianzu's out, Javi Martinez is out, and Joshua Zirkzee is also currently injured, although I don't think it's too serious. Leverkusen, they've got the weight of history against them as well. They've only won 3 of their last 18 meetings in all competitions with 12 defeats in that time, but they have had a little bit of a success against them more recently. I mean, McCubs, it's that time of the week. It's time for a score prediction. What do you say?
Oh, I'm going to say it's going to be an entertaining draw. I'm going to say 2-2.
Oh, I like it. Henry, what do you think?
I was going to say exactly the same. I still think Bayern might pinch it 2-1.
Okay, I'm actually going to go for a more heavy Bayern victory, 3-1, but I think it's going to be a great game. Guys, get your score predictions in the comments down below for Bayer Leverkusen versus Bayern Munich, and let's move on to our quickfire question. Our quickfire question this week comes in from regular contributor Tamish Bahal, all-round legend as well. Thank you very much, Tamish. He asked, which last 16 clash will be the pick of the bunch? Henry, what are you most excited for?
Ooh, I think straight off the bat, you've got to go Leipzig-Liverpool. I think that's, Leipzig, when they turn up, they are a super attacking side. And I think that's a really, really interesting clash. I won't go through all of them. But the other one I'm quite interested to see is Lazio Bayern Munich. I'd love to see Ciro Immobile come up against that Bayern back line and see what damage he can do. But, as we were just quickly saying off camera, the Europa League is where it's at this year. I'm telling you, the last 32, some huge games. Lille versus Ajax. You've got Salzburg versus Villarreal, Benfica, Arsenal. So, yeah, some really fun ties in there for once. But yeah, for me, Leipzig versus Liverpool in the Champions League is the most exciting answer.
Nice. What do you reckon, McCubs? Are you excited for the Europa League as well? Any Champions League ties taking your fancy?
Massively. I mean, I guess until Liverpool won against Tottenham the other night, I think all of the top five leaders were in the Europa League, weren't they? In the Europa League draw. Yeah, Man United Sociedad I think will be really good. Even like Milan versus Red Star, that would be great. Great to see how Pioli's men deal with that stadium. Although I don't know whether fans will be back in it, unfortunately. But yeah, some really good ties there. But yeah, as for the Champions League, I mean, I just can't look back. I can't look past Barcelona PSG, the rematch, the great rematch, the remontada. Yeah, just so much history in that tie, isn't it? Just from that 16-17 season.
Absolutely.
Neymar.
The video montages pre that game are going to be absolutely spine-tingling.
Oh my god!
Which is what I get. That's what really gets me going. Those video montages. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm also looking forward to. I think Chelsea versus Atletico Madrid will be fascinating, just and on a more of a tactical basis.
Yeah.
Whether Chelsea can sort of break down Simeone's side, who are still incredibly tough to beat. I know they got beaten by Real Madrid recently, but that'll be really, really difficult and a proper test for Chelsea. I think Chelsea are actually massive underdogs in that tie on the basis of how they're performing right now. But guys, let us know which ties you're most excited for in the Europa League and Champions League in the comments down below. And of course, we'll be doing UCL review come February as well. We'll be back to smashing them through on a regular basis as well. So plenty of great content coming to your way on EuroFootball Daily in 2021. McCubs, that's the end of the show.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to push to?
I'm trying to think now. Go and watch the Football Pyramid, which hasn't entered the final stage yet, but the Football Pyramid finals are coming up, so stay tuned for that on Saturday. Go and check out the previous ones. Go and check out the EFD Explains we've done. We've done one on why Arsene Wenger, or has kind of the legacy of Arsene Wenger has now kind of proved most Arsenal fans wrong in terms of what we've seen with Arteta recently. That was a really good script from Pat and a great edit from Danny as well, so go check that out. And yeah, we've got another Explain coming out, but I can't remember it right now. I think it's on PSG, that's the one. So yeah, stay tuned for that as well.
Nice. Yeah, Henry, that was you on the PSG project. That's coming out on Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah. Our schedule is about to grow out so much. I'm never quite sure what's going out when, but yes, I do think so. It's a really It was quite fun, actually. I got to sort of look at some of the numbers behind the PSG evolution, sort of the stuff going on off the pitch, not just the big transfers. And yeah, it is cool. I mean, look, even their kit deals with Michael Jordan and stuff like that, they're really cool and super successful. And it's really interesting to see how you take a club from not just being, a successful entity on the pitch, but like a global brand. And that's really what they've gone for. So yeah, it was really interesting for me to write, and I hope it's interesting for people to watch too.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Another Continental Club done for another week. Go check out all our content across all our 3 channels, and I'll see you later. Bye.